Peace, peace, peace. This is your brother Wujao, Meneb Maat, and you are tuned in to the Seshu Medew Netcher YouTube channel. But for this very, very brief um, present, short discussion I'm going to have basically with myself, I'm breaking away from the normal, connection with ancient Egypt, the language and things like that, just to bring forth a brief teaching moment as it relates to COVID-19. All right. So I'm doing it for the archives, but I do appreciate anybody who happens to tune in while I'm actually doing this live. But the intention, as you see in the title of this video is COVID-19, a teaching moment, and today's date, which is August 10th, 2021. All right. So what I want to quickly discuss, and I hope people can benefit from this brief bit of information, is I want to talk about three scenarios when it comes to SARS-CoV-2, the virus, COVID-19, which is the disease, and vaccinations versus infections, etc. All right. So let me just quickly share my screen. So as you can see, again, you're tuned into myself, Brother Wujao, and I call this a missed teaching moment. All right. And I call it that because I was in a conversation earlier on another YouTube channel, and I originally, popped in on the YouTube channel to discuss a completely different topic. But when I engaged the conversation completely changed over to the subject of vaccines, COVID-19, infection, and so on and so forth, which is a great topic. It's a great topic to educate people on these issues, especially while we're still in the pandemic and while there's a lot of misinformation floating around and so on and so forth. So I thought that was great. But I do feel that in the midst of the chaos, the confusion, the jokes, the innuendos, and just crazy conversation and listening skills, that there were a couple of things that were missed. So I just want to go over it very quickly, very concisely, and without any noise whatsoever. All right. So let me just switch on over here. All right. So what you see on the screen are, I just titled it COVID-19 Scenarios. And so on the left-hand side, we have, and let me get my trusty arrow out. If anybody's been, keeping up with me, they know I always have my arrow. We have three scenarios here. And we have scenario number one, we have an uninfected person who is also unvaccinated. What that will mean is that this person has a naked immune system. And by naked immune system, I mean the immune system is has no protection for SARS-CoV-2. All right. And just very, very briefly, there's two major domains of the immune system, the innate and the adaptive, or they say an acquired immunity. And that word acquired should lend your mind to understand that the acquired portion of immunity takes time. Okay. What's implicit in the word acquired is time. All right. Innate means that is really no time. You have portion of the immune system that reacts on the spot, such as the skin. The skin is a major player in the innate immune system. Then you have parts of the immune system that needs to be educated and taught, and you develop immunity over time, which I say is acquired immunity, all right, or adaptive immunity, all right. So again, going back, the uninfected person, meaning they have not been infected with SARS-CoV-2 and they are not vaccinated, that person has a naked immune system. The immune system knows nothing of the virus and it's just wide open. All right. Scenario number 2, we have a person who was infected or who was infected by SARS-CoV-2. They're not vaccinated. Now, the result of that situation or scenario, after time goes by and the person's able to clear the infection, their body is going to build up antibodies that are acquired from the infection. So this person is going to have antibodies, which means this person is going to have a level of protection. But this level of protection was acquired from infection. Now, the third scenario is a person who is uninfected by SARS-CoV-2, but they were vaccinated. That person will also have antibodies like the person in scenario 2, but except these antibodies are acquired from the vaccine and not from the infection because they are uninfected. So, out of these 3 scenarios, the unprotected person is in the first scenario. This person is very vulnerable and wide open. Scenario 2 and 3 have levels of protection. So I'm going to focus on scenarios 2 and 3 next. So here it is. I basically stated the 2 scenarios that have protection. And here's my trusty arrow here. So again, this was scenario 2 from the previous slide. And this is scenario 3 from the previous slide. So we have an infected person who was infected, but unvaccinated. The result, they have a level of protection in the form of antibodies that are acquired from the infection. The next one is uninfected person, but who is vaccinated. They have antibodies or a level of protection in the form of antibodies, but they are acquired from the vaccine. Now, the point of me giving this very brief presentation is for this reason here. I'm going to read this because I'm answering the question of, well, what's the difference? Should a person who fits scenario number 2, which is this one here, who was infected by SARS-CoV-2, but is not vaccinated, and they do have a level of protection, should they then get vaccinated, and why? Or what is the difference between these 2 scenarios if both scenarios have a level of protection? What's the difference? Okay, so here is an answer to that question. So I'm just going to read here. A recent study reported on June 8th, actually a recent study, I should say recent NIH study. So a recent NIH study, not a NIH recent study, a recent NIH study reported on June 8th shows that the antibodies that's elicited by the mRNA vaccine, so we're talking about scenario 2, were more focused. We speak about the antibodies specifically. The antibodies elicited by the mRNA vaccines were more focused to the RBD compared to antibodies elicited by an infection, which more often targeted other portions of the spike protein. So what does that mean? So let me just give what RBD is. RBD stands for the binding domain of the particular vaccine. Of the particular virus. The R stands for receptor, the B is for binding, and D is for domain. So we have the receptor binding domain of the spike protein, and these domains or the spike proteins of the virus attaches to the ACE2 receptors on the human cells, the host cells. Okay, just giving you a brief FYI. All right. So again, The receptor binding domain, which is what RBD is the specific domain where the virus attaches itself to the human cell by way of the ACE2 receptor on the human cell. Okay. So now knowing that, let's just read it again. The antibodies elicited by the mRNA vaccines were more focused on this area, the RBD area, compared to antibodies elicited by an infection, which more often targeted other portions of the spike protein. Okay, so that right there is a difference between the two scenarios. All right. Now, importantly, the vaccine elicited antibodies targeted a broader range of places on the receptor binding domain than those elicited by a natural infection. These findings suggest that a natural immunity, speaking about this person, this scenario here, and vaccine generated immunity, speaking about this scenario here, to SARS-CoV-2 will differ in how they recognize what? New viral variants. That is the point. That is the difference. It actually tells you these two scenarios differ in how they would recognize new viral variances. Okay. What's more, antibodies acquired with the help of a vaccine may be more likely to target new SARS-CoV-2 variants potently, even when the variants carry new mutations in the receptor binding domain. Okay. So, what is the takeaway here? The takeaway here is that although both people have protection by way of antibodies, the vaccinated person will likely have protection over new viral variances. And that's important to know right now because we are in the midst of a new variant from what's considered the wild variant of of SARS-CoV-2. Now we have a Delta variant that is more transmissible or contagious than the original form of the virus. All right. And this is a new viral variant. And so what this is saying is that even if you've been infected and you have antibodies acquired from that infection, it is still advantageous to be vaccinated because by being vaccinated, you will stand a much better chance to be also protected by new viral variances, such as the Delta variants. All right. So I hope this very short, brief presentation is helpful to someone, clarifies information for someone, especially based on the previous conversation on the other YouTube channel, where it was a lot of laughs and giggles and other things going on. And I just wanted to take time out to point this out because this is a serious thing. People's health are in the balance for some people, and it's just would be helpful to people or overall on this question. All right. Now, what I advocate to everyone is to whatever decision you make, whether you get vaccinated or not, or choose not to, just please make an informed decision. Whatever decision you make sure you make an informed one. Find out. Don't make your decisions out of ignorance. All right. Get informed. The CDC website is a good place to bookmark and read through. CDC has rearranged the website to provide a lot of information about the vaccines, the virus. You name it. The FDA website, and then obviously the journals that are actually documenting the various different findings, the studies, and even the controlled trials and studies. All right, just make sure you do your due diligence and make your informed decision. Don't shame people, and don't allow yourself to be shamed. Just arm yourself with the information and make your decision. All right. And I would hope that you make the right decision. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say peace and share the video. If you watch this, I'm trying to make it short so you can share this. This is just a brief bit of information about these scenarios. All right. So peace.